What is going on, guys? What is going on? We are back. Sunday Scan is live. Good evening. What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. What's going on, Santiago, Free Lunch, JX Flores? What's going on, Sergio? What's good? Giving everybody a couple minutes to hop in, guys. First off, I do want to apologize for the tardiness. I was originally planning on 8 o'clock tonight. I did have a small personal matter get in the way of that, but yeah, happy football day. First day of NFL Sunday. Hope everyone's parlays, went off without a hitch. 0 for 2 on this fine NFL Sunday for myself. However, very successful college football Saturday, and Rutgers 7.5 was clutch. Big cover there, so that was fantastic. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. Giving everybody a couple minutes to hop in the stream. First things first, if you guys enjoy the Sunday streams, please don't forget that if you would like to keep getting the stream notifications, you should do two things. One, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the bell icon, hit those notifications so you'll get a notification every time we stream. And then also make sure you guys have Twitter notifications on, because with the new X algorithm, you're not going to see the YouTube link on your feed. It's just not how X is doing things. They want on-platform content, which I get, and I'm uploading long-form content on there, but they are definitely not going to be showing YouTube links to followers. So, or at least not as much, right? It's definitely not going to be getting shown to all of your followers. So make sure that you guys have my tweet notifications on, and I will always send those things out. So prime time, yeah, big day for the boys in Boulder on Saturday. What's going on, guys? Going to give everyone a couple more minutes. I'm not going to take up too much of your time tonight. However, I do, per usual, want to cover my top focus setups for the week. Mans, if you are just starting trading, how do you know if you are on the right path and actually improving? I think that's very difficult at first. So that's a good question. I think it's very difficult at first because there's so many stages, right, of that journey to becoming more consistent, right? And I think everybody is still in a constant journey to reach that peak level of consistency that you are allotted, because everybody's different and every single individual is going to be different. But really, I think when you develop a system, right, and your process is easily replicated, even if your process, maybe you're fine tuning it, and so maybe you're not having the highest win rate or seeing it in the P&L, but you are doing the right things, right? You're following the plan that you set out for that trade. When you notice those discipline points really coming into play, I really think that those are really the moments where you're like, okay, that really felt like, to me, I was kind of on the right path, right? That's one of the reasons I'm such a big proponent of, really mastering like 1 to 5 stocks and really making those like your bread and butter. So, Oliver, what's going on? Juan, what's going on? Yeah, and I think that it's easy to get caught up in the win-loss rate when you're just starting. But remember that, once you find a system, right? And, for me, I have a system that I pretty much follow on almost every single trade, or at least, 80% of my trades are one system, and that's kind of how the way I do things. So that, for me, right, is the element of discipline that comes into things. So yeah, of course. What's going on? Let everybody kind of hop in. As always, guys, if you are new or if you are joining us for the 20 millionth time, maybe not 20 million, but make sure you guys do hit that like button. As always, guys, you guys showing love on the streams is what allows us to continue to do these streams and bring you guys this free content on Sundays. As always as well, guys, make sure you guys check out the full library of content on the YouTube channel. If you're looking for a decent place to get started, I have a bunch of beginner videos that are sorted on my YouTube channel that you can start like from the very beginning of like how to read a chart to like how to, start, responsibly looking at options, things of that nature. There's videos for that for free all over my YouTube channel. And as always, we do live trading every single day inside the Discord. We'll do a live stream like this every single morning. If you guys would like to get 30% off that, you can click the link in my Twitter bio or in the description, and that'll give you 30% off. So if you want to come try the Discord, feel free. What's going on, guys? Letting everybody hop in. Appreciate everybody throwing a like. That means the world, as always. Obviously, I do want to kind of go ahead and get started, guys. Sunday night, I know football's on. I know the man stream now has to compete with Sunday Night Football, so it was nice while it lasted over the summer. But obviously, if you're tuning in this, a little bit later, we record all of these streams. And as always, guys, these are going to be an in-depth look into what I am going to be looking at for the week ahead, why I'm going to be looking at it, and obviously, I'm going to give a little bit of an in-depth detail on 3 to 4 charts usually. Tonight, I'm going to cover 4 charts specifically, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, like I said, we have a pretty big week inside the market as well right now. As always, guys, if you want to ask questions in the live chat, I will do my best to answer them. Per usual, my office is about 8 million degrees tonight. So, if you see me sweating on camera, guys, just we'll let it go. But like I said, pretty big week in the market. We've got CPI, obviously the iPhone 15 launch, and we also have the debut of the ARM IPO. So a quick catalyst rundown, guys. This is going to be a pretty big deal, right? SoftBank's ARM IPO, 6-time oversubscribed, sources say. So basically, they're looking to go public, guys, at that $47 to $51 a share mark. This is going to be a big deal for the chip space, right? Obviously, ARM is looking to go public at a $54 billion valuation. To give you an idea, NVIDIA is currently at a $1.13 trillion valuation. So that's a huge difference, right? About 20x the amount in terms of market cap. And the same goes for AMD. They're trading, I think, like $174 billion, so about 4 times. AMD is about 4 times the size of the ARM market cap if they get that $47 to $51 per share price range. However, SoftBank obviously acquired their 25% stake at that $64 billion mark. So this is going to be an interesting IPO, guys. This is going to be the largest IPO we've seen in a long time. If you're not familiar, during tightening cycles, high interest rates, we don't normally see IPOs going crazy, right? That's kind of a dead time for IPOs, right? So we're starting to see some IPOs come back. The big one is going to be Instacart as well. Those are going to be 2 really big IPOs. The reason that I'm mentioning this, guys, is because I'm going to talk about NVIDIA and AMD as well as INTC in this stream. And those are 3 charts that I think will have some type of larger scale reaction off of this IPO, right? So keep this in mind. I think this is arguably just as big of a catalyst for those 3 names as CPI this week. Obviously, CPI print important. Is it as important as when we had CPI prints at that 9 handle? No, right? It's becoming less and less important as inflation cools. We are kind of in that last stage of trying to get inflation back down to 2%, right? So I think the core number is going to be really, really big, but that's kind of like a general catalyst overview as far as going into this week. As far as the charts themselves, one chart I really want to point out before we get into the individual names. IWM, guys, back at its 200-day moving average. This is going to be a huge spot, and really I think it's going to determine some serious kind of future implications into the rest of the month, whether or not we hold this 200-day on IWM, right? Huge spot here on IWM. And so this is a chart I'm going to be paying really close attention to, guys. Obviously, heavier weight in financials. And so I really think that obviously it has that regional banking exposure. I'm interested to see, guys, if support can hold at this 181 level. Not a great sign that we got this really healthy candle off the 200-day and we stalled, right? I think that's in general not a great sign for the overall market. We're seeing some seasonal September weakness here. And so I'm really not forcing the long side of things until it shows its hand, right? Maybe CPI is that catalyst to kind of bring some life back to the market on the long side. In the meantime, I think it's been relatively a lackluster market in terms of buy side. So let's cover QQQ. This is going to be my really top focus chart going into the week ahead. And as always, guys, if you aren't aware, on these Sunday scans, what I like to do is I like to look at the 4-hour chart. Now, I've talked about this a lot. Guys, the Sunday scan is really more about the discipline aspect as it is just as much as it is looking at the charts, right? I think that the moment, somebody asked earlier, what makes you think that, you're kind of bridging towards that area of success or consistency, right? Or making improvements. I think that for me, one of those moments was when I developed the discipline to be able to sit down every single Sunday and spend, 90 minutes to 2 hours on my game plan for the week, right? When I developed that discipline, this is what I do every single Sunday, right? And, my process is relatively simple. It's muscle memory at this point. But last week was a great example, right? We did a stream last week at 11 a.m. on a holiday weekend on a Sunday morning, right? I covered AMD and Tesla, right? Those ended up being, some really fantastic trades to start the month, but it was only because I was able to, really sit down and put in that work on Sunday that come Monday morning or Tuesday morning in that case, it was automatic. I knew what I was looking at. I knew why I was looking at it. I knew there was a high confluence point to those trades, right? So I think that it's, equally as important, right, as looking at the charts is developing the discipline that goes into being able to sit down and do this every single Sunday, right? And so for me, Sunday scan really starts on Saturday nights, which is when I'm looking at the charts, developing, okay, I really want to, hyper focus on this. This is when I start breaking out the 4-hour charts is on Saturday night, to be honest with you. I was on the couch last night at like 11:30 midnight, looking at the, 4-hour charts, and, come Sunday, right, when I'm filming these videos, I've already, condensed a game plan that I feel is strong, right? And so I think that anybody that says that working on the weekend when you're getting started is a bad thing, I think that's complete BS. I think that a lot of the reason that I, was able to drive, right, and push harder to accelerate the learning process was because I spent so many Saturday nights not going to the club, to the bar. Like, I lost a lot of friends in that process. But, as cliche as it sounds, right, that really accelerated the fact that I was, putting in 3 hours plus every single Saturday, Sunday. I think that, really moved me light years ahead of, maybe the typical process, right? So the Sunday scan is more about the discipline aspect and the lifestyle, right? Just as much as it is my process that goes into it. Does that kind of make sense? All right, cool. Your motivational speech for the Sunday night scan is done. If you enjoyed that, you leave a like. But it is facts. So with that being said, top focus for me as far as the 4-hour goes is going to be on QQQ going into this week, right? We've got that broader term 4-hour uptrend from those lows that we made in the middle of August, right? So if we look here, guys, right, our low on the daily candle, right, for August was that 354 mark. Daily and 4-hour, I think they give you a decent view. Personally, I like the 4-hour more, but that's, up to your preference, right? So for me, right, we've kind of had that distribution area. Now we came back into the 4-hour trend and we got bought up, right, big time on Monday. That's when we saw those AMD and Tesla candles kind of really going off, right, as we saw that really strong move on Monday. Obviously, we saw buyers step in here on the 7th as well. And we kind of saw that progress into just this really tight range inside that 370 to 373 area. Now, when I see price action this tight, guys, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 4-hour candles, right? Condensed into a $3 range on the Qs. That is extremely tight price action, guys. And so if you are forcing things when the market is like that, oftentimes the market's going to have its way with you, right? That's when you're going to get taught a lesson if you're trying to push your foot on the gas, right? When you've got this really tight range. So for me, I think I took 8 trades in total last week, guys, which is, relatively low for me. I'm usually in kind of that maybe 13, 14 kind of range over the span of, and obviously we had a short week last week. And so really I'm closer to that 15 mark usually during a week. And last week, obviously 8 total trades is very, very, slow in terms of, how many trades I'm taking over the course of a week. Usually less is better for me in terms of P&L as well. So, do less type of market, I think. But point being, very tight range here, guys. Personally, what I'm going to be looking for early in the week is a potential rejection off of this 374 area and a flush down into that 370 zone, which would kind of line up with that 4-hour trend. Now, keeping this in mind, do I use Bookmap? I don't know what that is. Sorry, Adam. I'm not sure what Bookmap is. What's going on, everyone? Really appreciate everybody tuning in. If you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you guys leave a like. That is what allows us to keep doing these. So again, really focused. 370 spot on the Qs is that 4-hour mark. That's a spot, guys, that given how weak the tape is, I'd personally want to be watching, right? Again, 4-hour trend. This is dating back to those lows that we put in on the 18th of August. I do think there's a decent chance we do see buyers step in at that 4-hour trend, at least initially. But it's definitely a spot that I think could provide a larger scale move one way or the other, right? Because we're either going to get that really clean breakdown. In this case, if you remember last week, running late, but definitely recover up by rewatching. Thank you, mans. Of course, Solomon, you're welcome. Free lunch trader. Cowboys are up 19-0. Free lunch trader, thank you for the score update. I really hope CeeDee Lamb is not going off because I have him in my fantasy league, or I'm playing against him in my fantasy league right now. I really need CeeDee Lamb to not. Ooh. Wow, 49-yard touchdown. All right, I'm going to need CD to stop right here, guys, because I had Tyreek, though. So like I said, really big focus for me is going to be on that 4-hour trend test on the Qs. This is not the same as last week, right? Last week on AMD and Tesla, guys, we had really clean liquidity sweeps at those 4-hour trends. Coming into this week, that's not the case, right? We're kind of sandwiched in this no man's land area, and the market's been really, really tight. I do think we are priming for a larger scale move, which is going to bring me into my first chart, which is going to be on NVIDIA. Okay, this is focus setup number 1 for me. This is the NVIDIA hourly. Okay, NVIDIA is in a true range right now between 465 and that 453 area of support. Okay, now if we look back, NVIDIA has a ton of support at this range, which is one reason why I think you are seeing, right, the overall market have some chop to it. NVIDIA is a leader, guys. It is going to dictate how price action moves throughout the day, right? I do not use Bookmap. No, I do use TOS has free Bookmap. Yeah, Bookmap is like a more in-depth level 2 quote. Yeah, personally, guys, I do use the order book on Webull. I know that some like swear by the fact that different level 2 has been more impactful for them. I personally don't feel that's the case, but again, that's I think just what works for each individual person. So like I said, NVIDIA, really, really big spot at this 451 area, guys. This is going to be really a tremendous area, right? Because we have a lot of support from that pre-earnings move to 519. As you guys can see, we've created a really strong base there, right? If we look at the 4-hour, you can tell that we've got really strong support on NVIDIA because we've seen these long notable wicks down to that key level. Right, so 1, 2, right? And we've really seen a lot of buyers step in at that 451 spot. Now, keep that in mind. We're looking at the 4-hour here. We've broken that 4-hour uptrend, right? Now, how do we know that we've truly broken out of a trend on the 4-hour? Guys, look at this candle that NVIDIA printed off this level here on 9/6, right? That is a clear breakdown of the 4-hour trend. And you saw, right, the subsequent price action since. So really, NVIDIA is set up sell side for me right now, guys. And so, again, I'm really not looking at longs here. However, I'm also not looking to short with weekly contracts at 451 support, right? Personally, what I would like is to see a retest of 465 and be looking to short that 4-hour resistance point on NVIDIA and fade any rips into that level. Now, that being said, I do think this chart looks relatively weak. So if we do get that breakdown 451, I think there'll be some nice subsequent fades alongside it. And I do think that we get a pretty big trade down to that 420 area of support. Really, 429 is the level that I have marked out into this 433 area on NVIDIA. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, like I tweeted earlier, over the next week or two to potentially see a test of 400, right, into that 390 area because of the fact that we've had this 4-hour trend breakdown and really just because of how the hourly chart is set up on this name. So I love your channel. Do you have any level 2 videos available? Or could you go over level 2 briefly? So I have a free level 2 stream, or a level 2 stream that's inside the Discord, which is a day where I literally sat on YouTube live stream like this with everybody inside. And we just kind of sat, and I think in this case we were trading Neo, and we watched the Neo level 2 all day, and I kind of explained identifying buyer in the tape, right? Watching kind of the bid-ask flip, and understanding where price action is, set up sell side or set up buy side. I should probably upload that for free at some point, but as of right now, that level 2 guide is just in my Discord. You don't have to send me any presents, man. It's all good. Take a look at Amazon, good levels as to where it is right now. Yeah, Amazon's been trading really clean for sure. I don't know. I personally haven't traded Amazon well this year for whatever reason. I've been trading Google more. I was trading Amazon a lot last year. I kind of honestly dislike Amazon post-split. I used to love trading Amazon pre-split, but I just really have not traded it as much. And I had a great end trading Amazon, really. I nailed the pre-split run-up trade last summer, if anybody remembers that, for like, I think it was 2,000%, maybe 1,200%. I don't know if anybody swung those Amazon 2,200 calls last summer, but that was like the last really big trade I've had on Amazon. I don't trade it too much now, but that's just, again, that's just me. So personally, like I said, guys, on NVIDIA, I do believe this 451 area is going to be a huge overall pivot for the market. Should we break down here, I do like QQQ puts down to that 370 area. Personally, I would look to trade the Qs over NVIDIA at this 451 spot. Just personally because, again, I don't love trading active breakdown sequences, just like I don't love trading active breakout sequences right now because of the fact that we are just in a more range-bound market, right? So those breakouts of these, larger scale ranges are just, a little bit, they don't fit the same metric in terms of risk reward for me. But like I said, in terms of NVIDIA there, again, kind of sandwiched in a range right now. I'm going to trade that range for what it is until that changes, right? And when that does change, it'll be time for a new perspective. As far as AMD goes, this is a chart I do like on the short side earlier this week. Kind of go over why, guys. 4 hour here, right? Good example, 4 hour uptrend breaking, right? And we retested it on Friday, and we printed a nasty 4 hour trend retest, right? If we look here, guys, you can see where the 4 hour trend breaks. It was overnight from the 6th into the 7th. And then you can see we've just kind of gone sideways. We obviously ripped on Friday, and look at where we ran into resistance, guys, right below that 4 hour trend test. And so, like I said, that's a really disgusting trend line. But like I said, 4 hour trend retest got sold hard, and then now we've just gone sideways, right? So personally, if we continue to reject at 106, that 106.30 level, guys, which I've mentioned before, if you've seen me trade AMD, 106.30 is that bigger weekly support area. If we continue to fail this 106 area, I think we test into 103 and then that $102 zone personally below. I don't absolutely love the risk reward on the short I can't talk, it's Sunday night. The short side here either. However, I personally like the way that AMD has been moving a little bit more than NVIDIA lately. Again, just personal preference. But if obviously AMD is showing that same relative weakness that it showed the latter half of this week, I do like this for continued downside into that 102 area, potentially even for a retest of 100. So will you be charting stocks requested by views after? No, but if you'd like me to cover a chart, you can drop it. And if I have time, I will cover it. What's going on, guys? Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you guys have not yet taken just the 2 seconds to hit that like button, that is what allows us to keep doing these free streams. If you guys enjoy these videos, please do me a huge solid. Take the 1.5 milliseconds to hit that like button for me, and I will appreciate you forever. But like I said, on AMD, personally, my trade idea here is going to be on those 105 weekly puts, which I do like if NVIDIA breaks down sub 451, personally. So, Yeah, so coin is a good one, which I was going to cover anyway, so we can hop over to it. I see a lot of people kind of talking about it in the chat. Really nice look here. This one has held up incredibly well to the overall market, which definitely does have my eyes on it. I think coin has moved okay. I don't think it's moved great, but I do think it offers a really nice setup going into this week in terms of hourly levels, and that's why I'm covering it. This is the 4-hour that we're looking at right now. So where would I be looking at longs here on coin? It's pretty simple. I would be looking to see if this 80.74 area continues to get soaked, right? You guys can see on the 4-hour, we had very strong resistance at 80 and that 80.74 area, but we've seen dips into that 80.70 area get soaked big time. And so for me, I'm going to look for some type of flush down into that 80 area. And if we can sweep some liquidity at that spot on the hourly, I would be interested in the 85 calls for this week on coin, right? You can see this is a good example of using prior day's support. And we can see here on coin, right, that 80.95 area was a big level that got soaked on Friday. Low of the day, 80.35 at the open. So personally, guys, I would like to see some type of flush down into that 80.30 area, which are low of the day from Friday, and some type of soak liquidity trap there. And if we get that, I would look for a trade back up to 83, right? I'm not looking for home runs in this market. I am looking to take high probability longs at support, and I'm looking to take high probability shorts at resistance, right? I mean, it's very, very simple. I have zero bias right now. And, you know, I try to operate with, you know, a general kind of neutral outlook, especially right now in a range bound market. So, yeah, like you've noticed, like there are some names that are behaving well. Affirm I see is one that's getting mentioned in the chat. I'm going to mention one that I think is setting up just like Affirm, which is going to be Airbnb. And so we can talk about that one next. But as far as coin goes, guys, 83 resistance, strong support, 80.30. So personally for me, I'm going to look for a flush down to 80.30 Monday, Tuesday. If we get that, remember we have CPI coming midweek. So I'm not going to be, again, I'm looking for base hits in this market right now, guys. So, you know, and there's a very high probability that we could see a lot of chop in a lot of these names going into CPI and that ARMA IPO. So personally for me, I do want to mention Airbnb. I think this is setting up very similar to Affirm, right? Affirm has been a clear standout chart, guys. We have not seen price action like this. Okay. This is not typical right now in the market. It's just not that type of market where you're seeing, right, power earnings gap and then continuation. We're just haven't seen that, right? If you look, this is what normally happens in this market right now. This is Shopify, right? Power gap on the 31st of August, right? Close that monthly candle strong, and then they fade it back down to 63, right? But it's just up and then stall down, right? This is different when you start to see earnings gap and then strength continued for another 40% move, right? And Airbnb is demonstrating the same characteristics, but it's in that early stage, right? Power gap to the upside on S&P inclusion. And normally, I think the reason that you're seeing this name really start to move is a lot of people come in and short on those type of days where you've got, S&P inclusion, because oftentimes that is a sell the news type of event. In this case, right, Airbnb is not only holding that gap, but it's now pushing higher. Very, very impressive move on Friday. And, right, bad news in terms of like New York, like kind of just saying, oh, no more short-term rentals. Airbnb just soaked that news and continued higher on increasing volume. So personally, this is a very clean trade setup for me. What I'm going to be looking for here, guys, is a retest of that 144.30 area, right? If we look at the hourly, very, very clean levels, right? Support is now, again, from Friday here at this 145.49 area. Personally, for me, high probability setup here would be a retest, right, of that kind of trend that we're starting to build here. And again, I would love to see this name hold this 145 area down to that 144.29 zone. Personally, for me, if we get soaked in this area right here, again, I would love to see that 144 level retested, 144.29. Retest, soak. I think that sets up for potentially 150 in the next like week or two. So I'm going to be watching the 922 150 calls, right? I'm going to be looking at kind of buying a week at a time. That's something I've been doing a lot more of lately. Is just kind of buying a week on, whatever trade I'm taking. Much more relaxing. My heart is already My doctor said my heart condition has already improved. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, a lot better on the mental, honestly, in this type of market where things are just slower. So I do like that the Airbnb setup. I think it's setting up a lot like Affirm. Affirm is a crazy breakout setup, guys. I'll mention it, but I'm not going to probably look to day trade something at resistance like this. It's just not in my system right now, given the market environment that we're in. I'm not saying it can't break. This has been incredibly strong, guys. I mean, you talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're talking about 10 positive days in a row. So yeah, it could potentially, but I do think it's setting up very similar to Affirm on that daily. So like I said, guys, those are really going to be the 4 names that I am focused on early this week. Coinbase, Airbnb on the long side. And then my short focus is really going to be on the Qs and on NVIDIA/AMD. I will probably trade NVIDIA over AMD. But again, we've got the Russell 2000 at its 200-day. We've got the Qs, right, coming into that 4-hour trend. I'd personally like to really, be patient on tech until we see that 4-hour trend kind of get tested. That's just me personally, right? But that's a level I'd like to see get tested. One outlier name I'm going to give you guys that I don't talk about a ton is BABA. I think this is very interesting on the long side tomorrow. This is one I'm going to be watching. A lot of times we'll see the China names actually tend to trade well, like sometimes on these CPI weeks early in the week, because they're kind of a little bit less dependent on like the U.S. number, like to an extent, right? I how true that is, you be the judge. But BABA is an interesting one, I think, on the long side early this week. My eyes are definitely going to be here tomorrow. And INTC is another retest and go setup. If we come down and retest this 37 level, I would definitely be interested. This is one of the strongest names on the market right now. Huge call flow Thursday and Friday for this week. So watching that 37 spot very, very closely, guys. And again, ARM IPO this week. So keep those chip names on watch. But for me, guys, that is going to be it for this Sunday evening. Very tight focus for this week. Again, I think this is a do less type of market. There's a lot of markets, guys, where it's time to push the foot, put your foot on the gas, full throttle. This is a time where I'm trying to take things slower, make sure that I'm taking the highest probability setups, and really honing in my focus on only my setups, right? That's really what the A+ Setups mantra is about, and that is where my focus is going to be this upcoming week. If you guys are in the Discord, we'll see you bright and early on the pre-market live. If you guys would like to take advantage of that 30% off, the link is in my bio on Twitter. Use the code STAKE, all caps, and you will get 30% off live trading. We live stream every single morning just like this. If you enjoy the free streams, please make sure that you guys hit that like button for me, and I will see you guys on this week's live stream.